For the last couple of weeks, both Drake and Kendrick have protagonized what probably is the greatest or one of the greatest rap beefs of the modern era of hip hop. They've been releasing track after track after track, calling each other liar, exposing each other, releasing some really good songs too, and calling each other names that I really don't want to repeat on this video. And while a lot of you have your mindset and when it comes to who the winner is, it seems like the beef already died down. No one's really releasing any more track, and obviously Kendrick said some really shocking things, so it's easy to assume that he's the winner, even though most of his claims are not really based on any real evidence. I mean, it's clear that we all know that Drake has had some weird proximity to girls that are definitely younger than him, but we don't really have any evidence of him being a PDF file. So for me, it's kind of weird that he's throwing around this word even though he doesn't really have any evidence, or I don't think he has provided us with any evidence. He also said the thing about him being a deadbeat dad, and we all know that that is relatively true due to what happened with Adonis, but he mentioned a baby girl, and Drake released another track saying that that girl doesn't exist, that he basically baited Kendrick into thinking that he actually had a girl that he never recognized. But that's not really what this video is about, because yes, maybe Kendrick won the beef against Drake, but I think there's a much more interesting question to be asked. When it comes to the overall quality of Kendrick Lamar and Drake as artists, who's the winner? Who's the better artist? Who's the better rapper? Who has the best discography? Who was more impactful and influential? For me, these questions are far more important, and that is the reason why I decided to make this video. Now, if you've seen any other videos of my Versus series, they're on my channel if you want to check them out. You know that I use 4 different categories, which would be popularity, influence, performance, and discography. And based on the winner in each category, we reach a conclusion at the end of the video. Now, before we get into the first category, this is only my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure you have your own. This is purely based on my personal taste. So I want to know what you guys think of each category and who the winner was. I want to know what you think about my opinion. I want to hear your opinion. So go ahead, don't be shy, leave your comment. Also, if you enjoy this video, please support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. Maybe sharing it to a friend that also enjoys the hip hop scene and also wants to know, someone else's opinion on this whole beef. Go ahead and share this video to them so, we can all have a conversation in the comment section. With that being said, I don't want to make this intro too long. Let's go on with the first category, popularity. And when it comes to popularity, I don't really think we need to spend that much time here because it's pretty much obvious that Drake is the winner here. Everyone that tells you that Kendrick is even close to the level of popularity that Drake has is delusional. Maybe in the US, especially in the hip hop scene, that's true. You could say they're on the same level when it comes to the hip hop scene, but once you leave for other genres and once you go to other countries, you see that Drake is very well known and very few people know who Kendrick is. Kendrick has sold, I think, over 35 million records, which is pretty remarkable. He's obviously really popular too, but Drake is on another level, having sold over 175 million records, I believe it was last time I checked. So definitely you see that there's a huge difference between the sales and when you go to the tours, when you go to the overall followers on social media. Like, everything tells you that Drake is more popular, and actually Drake is the only artist competing with the likes of Taylor Swift, or if you want to go to older artists, with Frank Sinatra, Elvis, the Beatles. Drake is almost at that same level of popularity, even though a lot of people don't like to admit it. And yes, it is true, the social media has a lot to do with it, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the level of popularity is kind of the same. You see Drake everywhere. He has multiple number ones, and Kendrick has too, but not even half compared to that of Drake's. For that reason, I'm not going to waste too much time here. Drake takes the point in terms of popularity. Now let's go with influence, which is far more interesting because I think we can all agree that Kendrick has one of the most unique styles in the history of rap. Actually, I would argue that there's no other rapper like Kendrick Lamar. The satisfaction or the part of your brain that enjoys Kendrick Lamar is not tickled by any other artist in the rap scene or any other genre for that matter. But that is exactly what my point is. There's no other like Kendrick. There's not a lot of people trying to replicate what Kendrick is doing, and that is precisely the reason why I think Drake should take the point in this category as well, because his fusion of rap music, R&B, and trap, actually Drake Drake's formula to create R&B was replicated not only by other rappers, but by people like Ed Sheeran, for example, with songs like Shape of You. You know, it's just his influence is massive in the music scene. And you can argue that it's not a good influence. You know, it made music kind of mediocre, and it is true that a lot of the songs that he influenced, a lot of the artists that he influenced are not exactly the greatest. But that doesn't really matter because he influenced his people, and it's obvious that Drake had a massive part to play in the modern scene of music. Instead, Kendrick is unique, it's awesome, is amazing, and we'll get to that once we jump into the discography category. But he never really influenced anyone, maybe because no one can replicate what he does, maybe because it's so unique to Kendrick that no one else wants to touch it out of respect. I don't know, but there's not a lot of Kendricks out there. I'm pretty sure you'll find some artists that sound the same. You know, there's jazz infusions and there's different ways to tweak your voice to create new flows and new vocal inceptions, but overall there's not a lot of people replicating what Kendrick was doing in Good Kid, Mad City or in To Pimp a Butterfly, and let's not even talk about Damn. So I have to give the point to Drake here. Anyone that doesn't want to admit that his influence was massive is just in denial. Now let's go with performance, and I think it's really interesting. For the first time I'm making a versus series about rappers, so we're going to focus on rapping. And when it comes to the singing that Drake likes to do in this R&B tracks, we can't really take that as an actual valid performance because a lot of it has a massive amount of auto-tune. Have you seen Drake trying to sing One Dance Live? I pray. Say that's why I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. It's disastrous, so I'm not gonna count it. Honestly, there's no talent behind it. You can barely tell if the performance should be credited to Drake or his producer or whoever's handling the auto-tune, so I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna focus on the rapping here because in my opinion, when talking about rappers, it's the most important thing. And when it comes to rap, Kendrick has the upper hand by a mile. Drake has been performing with the same style ever since Nothing Was the Same. When it comes to If You're Reading This Is Too Late, I think it was the peak of Drake using that type of rapping, but after Views and More Life and Scorpion, it feels boring and it feels old, it feels dated. You know, it worked back then to some extent, but now it just feels like he's out of new ideas. And I know a lot of people like to jump to his defense saying that's just the way he raps, that's just the way that he likes to do it. And there's artists like Tupac, Biggie, JC, Nas, you know, big names in the rap industry, even Kendrick, that like to rap in a similar style too. And it's like, yeah, it's true, you know, it's fine to have a few tracks each album that have a similar rapping style, but when every single song is the same over and over again for multiple albums in a career that goes for more than 10 years, I don't really think we can excuse the guy anymore. Like, at first it was fine, I'm telling you. If You're Reading This Is Too Late has the same style of rapping as Nothing Was the Same or Take Care when he actually wanted to rap, but now it's been 12, 13 albums and we're still having the same shit over and over again, and I just can't take it. I don't like it at all, especially when you compare that to Kendrick Lamar, who is the genius of creating new rap flows, using his voice in different ways, actually putting up an acting performance every time that he wants to communicate a feeling, scenario. Just listen to songs like We Cry Together, for example, or You or I in the album To Pimp a Butterfly, The Blacker the Berry. And once again, I'm gonna play a few examples of the different rap styles that Kendrick likes to use in albums like Untitled Unmastered and To Pimp a Butterfly, because it's truly the work of a genius, how he comes up with so many different ideas and how effectively he communicates the message that he's trying to communicate with his song.
Cornrow Kenny, he was born with a vision all morning with the mixed dashboard, triple digit pair.
You the reason why mama and them leaving. No, you say you love them.
So many moments of musical genius that I just cannot ignore the fact that Kendrick should be the one taking the point in this category, and that is precisely what I'll give him. Now let's go with the most important category on this video. I say it every time I make one of these videos. Whoever wins this category wins the entire video, in my personal opinion, because discography is the actual songs, the actual albums, you know, your legacy as a musician. It doesn't really matter if you don't sell any albums. It doesn't really matter if you haven't influenced a single human being in your life, and it doesn't even matter if you don't know how to rap. If I like your songs, I like your songs. And when it comes to discography, we have a bit of a complicated answer here because Kendrick has better albums. I think anyone can tell you that. To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City are among the greatest albums ever made, not only out of the hip-hop scene, out of the entire history of music. These two albums are the perfect example of how to tell a story and how much potential is within the rap scene. So that is the reason why I believe that Kendrick should take the win in this category. However, we also have the fact that Drake has released a lot more albums, and a lot of these albums are very decent. You know, you have Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, If You're Reading This Is Too Late. Me personally, I liked Honestly Nevermind. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it and think it's his worst album actually, but I don't really mind it all that much. You have Her Loss. You have him releasing almost an album per year ever since he released If You're Reading This Is Too Late, which is impressive. And by the way, this album are 24, 20, 27 tracks long, each and every single one of them. So the amount of music that we're getting from Drake is truly remarkable, and I believe he should get credit for that, because it's true that Kendrick has some amazing records, Untitled Unmastered and Damn as well, you know, Mr. Milan, The Big Steppers. I'm not the biggest fan of that album, but in my opinion it's way better than anything that Drake has been releasing for the past, I don't know, 5-10 years. But we only get like one album every 5 years, and while that's not necessarily a problem, that's just how Kendrick likes to release his music. I personally believe that, you know, you have to give Drake credit for releasing music so often. However, when it comes to the overall quality of the albums that Drake has to offer, it's pretty low, you know. As I said before, they're decent, but when you compare it to some of the greatest albums that hip-hop has to offer, then you can definitely see a drop in terms of quality. If you take the best album that Drake has to offer, for example, that will be If You're Reading This Is Too Late, released in 2015, and when you take To Pimp a Butterfly, which in my opinion is the best Kendrick Lamar album, released also in 2015, the difference between these two albums is insane. It's not even close. If You're Reading This Is Too Late is considered a 5, To Pimp a Butterfly should be considered a 10,000. That's how far away they are in terms of quality, in my opinion. So that is the reason why, even though Kendrick has, you know, it's not the most consistent artist in terms of releases, and Drake is actually one of the most consistent to come out of the mainstream, I believe we should give the point to Kendrick Lamar. As you can see in the scoreboard, they both have 2 points. So is it a draw? Well, if you look at the categories where Kendrick took the point, I believe that performance and discography are way more important than popularity and influence. So I am inclined to say that Kendrick Lamar is the better artist. But I think we could also admit that without Drake, the hip-hop scene would be pretty boring. You know, the fact that he releases a new album every year, and he has more than one good track in every single one of these albums, even more than a few in albums like Honestly Nevermind, which, as I said before, I know a lot of people don't like it, but me personally, I think it's a good album. You know, I think that you cannot survive, or the hip-hop scene cannot survive only with Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole or any of these other lyrical rappers. You know, I think that we also need Drakes out there. You know, this blends between rap music and pop music to keep the genre alive, and that is the reason why I think this ended up being a draw, because yes, Kendrick represents the core of what hip-hop is meant to be, which is communicating your feelings, being able to tell a story with an incredible amount of ability and skill and talent and creativity. But Drake represents the enjoyability that rap gives to the listener overall. I think that he is a more lightweight type of rapper that is just meant to entertain you with tracks that are not that deep, you know, that don't really tell a story, or tell a story that's very mediocre and generic. But we need that, you know. There's also the fact that he doesn't really write 100% of his lyrics, which is not really the best look for a rapper, but whatever. I think that what I'm trying to say here is that Drake also fulfills a really important part of rap music that needs to stay fulfilled. We need that commercial satisfaction that we get from a Drake album. That is my personal opinion, and that is what I take from this video. But who's the better artist overall? Well, definitely Kendrick Lamar. You know, I think that if you think otherwise, you're probably blinded by a lot of catchy tunes that Drake has, and maybe you think too much or give too much credit to popularity, and that is the reason why you're inclined to say that Drake is better. But overall, Kendrick is better, guys. Come on. That'll be it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos that I upload. Once again, I'm going to say that this is only my personal opinion, so if you have your own, and I'm pretty sure you do, you can go ahead and leave it down below. Do you think that Drake should be the winner, or do you think I made the right choice by choosing Kendrick? Go ahead and give me your reasoning in the comments section. Also, if you want me to make this type of video with any other artist, you can talk to me about folk, rap, rock music, whatever the genre is. I probably know about it, so go ahead and leave your request down below, and I'll make sure to fulfill it as soon as I can. Now, once again, I hope that you guys enjoy, and I hope that I can see you soon with a new video. But until then, bye.